Welcome, everybody. Welcome. I cannot believe we are here, but here we are. Formula Prox. I can't even say it. Robert, I'm so excited. I can't speak. Formula Prox Fall 2020 Championship Race at Road Atlanta. I am Jim Hodgson. Joining me tonight, the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Robert O'Brien himself. Robert, how are you, my friend?
I am absolutely swell. It's down to the wire, Jim. It's down to the wire. I can't contain my excitement. We'll just tiptoe our way, Just try and contain the excitement. Absolutely.
Thank you so much to Alex Simpson for helping us out on production and broadcasting tonight. Even though he has left Dennis Branch's name there in the info, we also love Dennis. Thank you, of course, to all the folks at Apex for making this so easy for us to do as we watch qualifying unfolding before our very eyeballs. Let us walk you through really quickly what's at stake tonight. Now, we are a little bit of a strange series, well, for many reasons, but not least of which because we offer a real cup, an actual physical cup that you could drink things out of. I'm not sure if you should, but you could. And currently online for that tonight, leading the series, is Ryan Flannery. Now, Robert, I know that you've had a look over the series standings. Alex, if we could see those, that would be fantastic. Thank you so much, Alex, for setting this up for us. I believe these are correct. So this is the season standings with the 2 drop races. We do 2 drop races in the season so that people can, do things other than iRacing if their lives necessitate it. So these are the standings. As you can see, Flannery at the top of the standings, currently leading by 11 points with his 2 drop races figured in. He will be racing tonight, obviously, but he has chosen, Robert, to race in the Skippy car rather than the Solstice, which is his prescribed vehicle according to our balance of performance system. So, leading by 11 points, but will take a 10-point penalty for racing in the wrong car. What are your thoughts?
He's made a pragmatic move. Let's put it that way. He's thinking to himself, I don't want to drive that Solstice. That's what he's thinking.
do
I want to go around in a boat?
Right.
No. Then I need to drive the fastest car. It's a very smart move. It's basically he's putting the foot down and saying to his fellow competitors. So that would be Greenberg, very hot on his heels, and Carter not too far behind, and saying to them, if you really want to race me and get this trophy, come get it.
And so interesting that Greenberg has also chosen, he should have been in the Legend tonight, according to our balance of performance system, but will also take the Skippy car. There he is. We're viewing him from above, as so many law enforcement officials have done. But he's trailing Flannery by 11 points. So he also will take a 10-point penalty for choosing not to race in the Legend and choosing the Skippy car instead. Now, Road Atlanta, very high-speed track between your turn 7 and your braking for 10A. So I think the Skippy car is probably going to be a pretty good choice. Moving on, of course, Kundinger in 3rd place. Definitely within striking distance. He could make it happen tonight if Flannery and Greenberg have some bad luck, which they have been known to, certainly been known to have. Greenberg is, he's not known to always not hit people's gearboxes. I'm trying to say that delicately.
The amount of missing noses that we've had on the bill of materials for his car in particular is it's scary. One would argue. But yeah, Carter in of himself, he's actually in the MX-5, and so that will be interesting to see how he shapes up. He's not too slow in the current qualifying standings. He's only about 7/10 in and around behind Day, who's on the top, and he's only about 6/10 behind Flannery himself. So it can shape up extremely quickly if Carter can just push the little car that could, and just push it to the essentially just to hell's bells and see where it sticks. The risk is if he falls off, though. I mean, the MX-5, it is a lot stronger than, let's say, the Skippies are in terms of structural integrity, but after a certain point of hitting the wall too many times, you will start to see the MX-5 drop up very quickly.
I love the concept of hitting the wall too many times. But it's exactly as you say. You make a great point there. I think that the MX-5 I believe it is alone in a field of Skippies, and they are going to be like mosquitoes off the side of a tank. You know, as they're losing aero, I think that Cunninger will be able to weather the Skippies, rebounding off of his sides, which, I don't like to try to look too far into the future, but it would not surprise me at all to see Skippies bouncing off Cunninger's car.
No, and we've seen it before where the Skippy has not been too fast, and there's been a particularly quick driver in the MX-5s where they can actually go toe-to-toe with each other, and when the contact did happen in one or two occasions, my bets were definitely on the MX-5. Especially after the first time it's all.
Yes, I'm remembering the sort of the inside hairpin at Tsukuba and seeing Wilmot's car defending itself after Skippy after Skippy just rebounding off the side of his car, and he's able to continue. But here we ride along with Day, I believe this is, as he's just rounding turn 6 and turning in early for 7, which might be because he is, again, driving the Skippy car, whose tires are made out of solid granite. Almost no grip on those tires, which is why you'll see these cars sliding around. Now, they're going to be pretty fast, but it'll be interesting. It's Cunninger is such a good driver. He's really fast, and to be only a second off the pace in the MX-5 against the Skippy cars is just a testament to his ability to put that car where he wants it.
Yeah, and as long as he can keep that up throughout the race, it is going to be extremely interesting to see how these guys shape up. Day, though, he's just gotten quick, not just out of nowhere, but he's just gotten quick on this track. I think he's been waiting for one Road Atlanta to come around once again, and he's putting his metal to the pedal,
as they say.
Yeah, as they say.
Yeah, he's quite a good driver, is Day. It's funny to me, that during sort of the exhibition races that we had before the season, Day was really, really doing well and getting a lot of results. And during the season, he hasn't had quite the luck, I think, that he would have liked. But good to see him at the top of the timing tower now. We got just about 4 minutes to go. So 2 or 3 more laps for these drivers to better their times. It looks like everybody is out on track now, which is good. We're missing a couple of drivers. Looks like we're missing Wilmot. I guess he's given up for the season. But we have, I guess we're missing Such. Unfortunate.
But we're now missing Carter. And remember when he joined, it was like, he's a full green guy. He was a complete outlier, and look where he is. Look where he is in the standings. He's up in the third, and not only that, he's got a bit of a shot, at taking the trophy. So I saw him go off just at, I think that was 5 coming on just past the S's in the tricky first section of Road Atlanta. He is definitely pushing that car extremely hard. He's definitely using the track and then some.
Well, speaking of, I just saw Greenberg cut the corner at 5. I don't think that's going to do him any favors. But we're really excited for the season finale. Again, this has been, we've had 8 races in this season, and this has been even though we had a sort of an exhibition series with a couple of races before the season began. This is our inaugural season with our crazy balance of performance system. So just to let you know, the way that we do it is if you win a race, everybody starts out in the MX-5. If you win the race, you go down 2 cars on the sort of balance of performance ladder to the Solstice. Well, if you won in the MX-5. So the deal is if you do well, you get slower cars, and if you do poorly, you get faster cars until you end up in the Skippy. So it's actually worked out pretty well. I think we could do some tweaks. The drivers are all desperate for us to not have the Skippy again. I mean, the Solstice.
Yeah.
They just despise that car.
It's the boat.
I mean, I personally, I enjoy the wailing and gnashing of teeth. So I don't know if I want to remove it because I feel like, you don't get there unless you're doing well in the series. And the whole idea of it is that we try to slow the people down who are, if you look at the drivers' lap time as sort of a bell curve, the people on the right-hand side, they all want they want to get rid of the Solstice so they can continue to drive away from the field, but that's not what we want as fans of the series, my opinion.
No, it's all about striking, as fine a balance as you can. And I think the balance so far has been pretty good. I think it's just everybody just sees the Solstice and they just remember the band, especially if it was the Cup Challenge that iRacing did for the Jeddah, the MX-5, the current one that we have on track today being driven by Carter, and the Solstice. Every single one of those that was not in the Solstice would tell you, why does the Solstice exist?
Yeah, weren't there some races with the Optima as well? It's a distant memory for me.
I think, it's changed a few times, but it's some of them are a bit of an anomaly to my mind as well. But there have been some very interesting things on the track.
Well, speaking of interesting things on the track, here is that doesn't look right. Is that right? We're seeing that Flannery at the last second managed to snip qualifying away from Day. So well done to him, Flannery. At a 1:37.2, that is a blistering pace around Road Atlanta. Day in P2, followed by Kundinger. Will start on row 2 with Greenberg for company. Greenberg is he needs a big race, but he also needs to manage to keep his car off of other people's cars. Followed by Hazelton, Lovett, fan favorite, Chukuma Chuma Onabogu, Thortella, and Ben Warren. What a race it is going to be tonight. We were just having such a good time chattering back and forth. We missed the fact that Flannery put himself on the top of the timing tower.
I just didn't want Carter to lose like any more positions because I knew the MX-5. It's fast, but it's not got downforce. So the Skippies definitely would have had a little bit of an advantage going around here. I mean, a little bit of a speed difference at these kinds of levels actually makes a lot of difference. It's the equivalent of going from a GT3 car to a GTE car, for instance, in iRacing. And it'll be interesting to see how they started because it'll be downhill and sweeping. And I don't think Carter's actually given us an idea of... Well, he's given us an idea of how he does at other tracks. We've seen how well he can just put in laps, but... How will he fare in a sea of Skippies? Do you know what it's like? It's like a cat pretending to be a dog in like one of those like little like little pullovers that you can get for your cat, and it pretends to be a husky. This is exactly what. Yeah, this is exactly what it looks like right now. In my eyes, it's just like that guy shouldn't be there, but it is.
Well, I think I speak for everyone viewing, which, first of all, thank you for watching, but also I think I speak for them when I say that we want to know more about this cat fashion of which you speak. But too much going on track at the moment. I guess we're going to get a whole lap rolling start. It looks that way. But yeah, it's funny that to see a field of racing cars in which a global MX-5 Miata looks large. As Cunningham is flirting with disaster there inside of turn 6. I wouldn't have advised that to him, but he's not listening to me, nor would he, even if I were in his radio. As we go around 7.
Carter, please don't hit the wall.
Carter, don't don't hit the wall. Carter, don't hit the wall.
Just stick on the track. You see the tarmac bits? Stick on that. The grassy bits. Stay away. You're not a rally car.
Control, yes, Cunningham. I've hit the wall. The front's off. I should also say thank you so much to Jay's Little Track Days, our title sponsor, for giving us a couple of bucks to have some fun, and we really do appreciate it. They've, had so much fun with those guys. Great family of folks. Really appreciate them trusting us to do this, and we didn't lose our shirts too badly, money-wise, putting on this series, and that's all down to Jay's Little Track Days. So if you're in the Atlanta area, do go and drive with them as we come over turn 11. Down through 12, and the race is going to start. I feel certain. Here we go through 12 with Flannery leading. Lights are out, and we are racing as Flannery leads the pack down the start-finish straight with Cunninger in P2, and it looks like Day on his outside as they go through turn 1. Now, Cunninger's going to want a lot of track in that car, but he manages it well as they head up the hill through the 2 and 3 complex. Let's see what goes on with Day at this turn. I was noticing that Day during qualifying was turning in a little bit early at 3 there, but he's managed it very well. You want a little bit of curve, but not too much, especially in the Skippy. Here we go down through the S's, and a tight pack of, it looks like 4 or 5 drivers there, all the way back to Hazleton as we head through 5 and on towards 6. They are making really not making a meal out of this lap. We're going to be done with it in no time at all. Here's Flannery setting up for 6. Great on-camber turn. Just as I was saying, not a lot of grip in those Skippy tires. You see a lot of sliding from him, even with that on-camber turn of 6. Navigates 7 well, and as I say, we got a group of, just about 5 drivers, and then a gap back to Lovett, Onabogu, Tola, and Warren as we head down the back straight between 7 and 10A. Exciting stuff so far, Robert.
Yeah, and it actually probably was the best start that Carter could have hoped for, though he has Day looking on his rear exhaust pipe very closely. He's inspecting it for dust, when you get your car tested to make sure it's ready roadworthy. And he's actually just come out of 10B with an excellent over-under, and he's side by side going into final turn. Day slide, like that car is not actually pointed straight where the wheels are going. It's more like it's sliding, but he's not able to make it.
Oh, there goes Lovett for his inaugural crash of the evening on the start-finish straight. Now, I will say that as you come down through 12, if you should, the car is so loaded, drivers left. If you should dip a wheel on the start-finish straight, you're going around for sure. And the way that those K-rails are set up, you will ping-pong back and forth between them. So it looks like we lost one of our drivers from this main group here. Greenberg, we had a group of 5. Something's happened to Hazelton to make him drop back.
I think it was when they were coming onto the start-finish straight, or just... Yeah, it was. It was.
Oh, we're going to get a little replay here. Thank you, Alex. So there is Hazelton in either a Lauda or a Senna livery. Just lost it in one there.
A McLaren Classic livery. It's classic for everybody that knows where it came from, but it looks very out of place.
Yeah, instead of a McLaren. Right. So this battle between Day and Cunninger is still going on. Day is managing to stay ahead of Carter, but it just feels like I think Carter is getting a little bit just dropping back through the field in that MX-5. It looks like Greenberg is going to be the next to try to make a pass on him. Carter driving a little bit defensively down there, down the start finish straight. But Day needs to close that gap up to Flannery. Flannery will be happy to drive away, and Day is not going to be able to do that if he can't keep his car on the track.
Yeah, you could just see it was just a little wiggle, but the snapback that the car gave him was just so massive, and it's a slow slide if that happens to you in a Skippy. Well, unfortunately, Day has ping-ponged himself into, I think that is just behind Hazelton. Yeah, so now Hazelton's being placed as Greenberg, so it's gone from 4 to 3.
Well, if you haven't joined us before, we do 2 heats per night. So this is heat 1. As you can see there, the time is just 15 minutes for the race. So we do a 15-minute race, and then we do a reverse grid for race 2. So even the drivers who lose big on this first race will have another race, and the leaders will have to fight their way through the field, but they usually manage to do that. As we see here, Greenberg all over once again. Now he is inspecting Cunninger's tailpipe for any sort of errant dust particles and looking to make a move into 10A. Going down the hill into the braking zone for 10A. Greenberg lets the braking go pretty long. A little bit of sliding between A and B, but it looks like he's managed to keep it on the track, which is always a good sign. Hugging the inside of the turn there at 11. It looks like he's leaving plenty of room for Carter to race, but yeah, we got a safe pass there. Well done, although Carter looks like he's ready to reverse that as they head into 1. Pretty sneaky move on Carter's part there. I think that's, as you were saying, a lot of sliding from the Skippies in turn 1.
And it was also that Carter had he took all of the track and used it and had a very good line coming through the final turn onto the pit straight. And you could just see the speed difference just coming out onto that straight, and I don't think Greenberg really had anything to fight back with. But the thing about it is these two fighting, it's perfect for Flannery. He can just sit ahead and just continue to focus on going as fast as he can and just try and avoid the mistake that they made. Just cooked it just a little bit too much, and just focus on laps, getting the corners right, and just not looking behind him and just saying, ooh, like, where's my challenge?
Well, if you look at Flannery's interval, you can see it just clicking up and up and up as we go along. So I think you're exactly right. As you started saying that, it was about 1.6, 1.6 seconds, and he's now managed to get that up over 2. Oh, Cunninger's going to make a big move down here into 10A and is a big loser, facing completely the wrong direction. He's going to have to reverse his car into 10A and B and try to, where will he come out? It looks like he's just ahead of Lovett. Oh, that's unfortunate for Cunninger. I know that he'll be annoyed, but Robert, I got to say, I feel like he kind of deserved that one. I mean, he let the braking go very long and then tapped Greenberg's car, and now he's going to get hit by Lovett.
It comes back to what we talked about before, where you mentioned it on the last lap as well, that that they were both leaving it quite late. I think Carter just got a bit too ahead of himself, and you could see that he was actually squirreling under braking coming into 10A, and at that moment he realized, I might have an accident here. He did very well. He kept it on the inside as much as he could, but I think the MX-5 just said no, not having any more of this, and it sent him promptly into Road Atlanta's walls.
Yeah, a few more kilograms on the MX-5 versus the Skippy car, so it does take a little bit more braking force to get them stopped. But I would think that the MX-5 also has a larger braking package, so. But I think we saw the result of letting it go a bit too late.
Yeah. And I would also wager a guess that the tires help a little bit as well. Like, the Skippies are just the amount of contact with the road is quite narrow on the Skippy tires. We keep coming back to them, but they are essentially all weather tires, so they work everywhere, but they sacrifice grip. Whereas with the MX-5, much wider, and they are bone slick, so a lot more tarmac is contacting the road, so it does help with the braking. So it does offset the fact that, well, the MX-5 is a giant compared to the Skippy. As Carter just going a bit too wide coming into turn 1, and Lovett is actually moving up. He's now into 6th position.
Interesting. Well, yeah, well, there we see Carter just behind Lovett all over his gearbox. I'm sure that Carter will be able to make that pass sooner or later, as he's just shoving Lovett through the S's and up into turn 5. I feel like so far things are going Flannery's way. I mean, if you were looking at this, at the result we have so far, here we see Cunningham making a pass on Lovett into 6, and Lovett comes out the loser that time. He is punted off the track by Cunningham, and I think that was just a factor of the MX-5 being a sturdier car. I mean, you know, Lovett has sent many other drivers off the track in his day, so I wouldn't shed too many tears for him, although I'm sure that he's got a few choice things to say on the driver Discord.
Though the commentator favorite, Chewy. Yeah, he's in 5th.
Yeah, Chewy.
He started 7th, he's now in 5th, so he's actually making good progress. And well, he might not be in the race for the trophy in this race, but I mean, he has at least pulled up the socks a good bit, and you know, worked on racecraft, and it is starting to show. With the last 3 races, you know, he got his first podium, so
oh yeah,
he's definitely looking to see if he can continue that form and continue, you know, improving racecraft. It's mostly it's just trying to, you know, continue putting in consistent laps and being consistent with your driving as well, and that's what will net you good results. You may not win every time, but good results will always prove better in the end.
Yeah, and it is a great idea to keep your car on the track as much as you can. It looks to me like here Hazelton is swerving all over the track. I'm not sure what he's trying to do. You never know what kind of deals are being made in the driver Discord, but it looked to me like he just gave that place up to Day. So now Day will do his best to hunt down Greenberg.
Just a tip of the rear end like gearbox of Day's, but Day is now up into 3rd position, so he's put himself into the podium spot after qualifying in 2nd. So he's getting back to where he was, really. So he's just trying to maximize his points. Greenberg, of course, just putting in, you know, consistent laps. You know, nothing too major, nothing too.
Yeah, he's got a big gap on Day, though. I'm sure that, you know, it's tantalizingly close for Day. I mean, he can see Greenberg right there ahead of him on track, but that's a 3-second gap, more than, you know, right about 3.
It's the final lap of the heat as well, and he's not going to be able to get much time to. Essentially, Greenberg has to figure out that he loves grass more than he loves tarmac. Essentially, for anything to change within that paradigm.
It's not outside the realm of possibility.
No. It's in these races. I'm expecting the unexpected.
Well, he's got that gap up now over 4 seconds, has Greenberg. So it looks like he will be able to hold on to his P2 in Heat 1, which I'm sure he will be pleased about. I can't remember what the points he would get for 2nd place. It's 25 for 1st, but I don't remember what 2nd is. A 2nd 20? Something like that. But anyway, Greenberg, I guess I think he would Sorry, I'm trying to do math in my head, and I'm not able to do it even when I'm writing it down. So, but I guess it looks like we're going to get one more lap here. The leaders have just gone across the start-finish line. Day putting in the fastest time of the race. So if he's able to hang on to that, he will get one more championship point for this heat. But it looks like this might be more or less barring any sort of accident. And we see Greenberg there nearly losing the car between 3 and 4, heading down into the S's. There is your leader, Flannery, navigating 5. And I thought for a moment there he had some, he was looking at some back markers, but he is not. Looks like Lovett is giving it up for this heat. Slightly early turn in there to my eye. Flannery in turn 6. There we go.
Sorry, just to say, Flannery almost had a moment. Expect the unexpected.
Yes. But this should be a pretty easy cruise for Flannery, and he should get a few more points than Will Greenberg if the results stay as they are. So he should widen his championship points. Flannery, I'm sure, very pleased with this race. So the feature race, or Heat 2. Wow, that was using a lot of gator there. Right outside of that turn. The turn for 10 That's a pretty over easy move for Flannery there, but he managed to make it work as he heads down through 12, expecting to see the checkered flag as he goes across the start-finish line this time. And no. Looks like we're going to go around yet again.
We both got it wrong. I was 2 laps too early, but it happens. It's never going to be heating up for the final podium position, though, because Hazleton is closing in on Day. Well, as soon as I say that.
Oh, Fred. Oh. Well, that is,
literal commentator's curse coming in full force, front and center. He just loops it around.
Yeah, you know what? If I had to guess, let me guess that he turned in just a hair early on 3 and took too much curb. I guess we're going to see here. Let's see. So we're looking here for 1. And go into 2. Oh, no, he just got very. It's almost like he lost concentration there in 2. That's a really weird place to have that issue. Not that there's a good place to really have a big crash on track, but. Looks like he just lost concentration there, or maybe his cat ran across his keyboard, or who knows. I mean, we did have Day crash out of the lead of a race at Tsukuba, I think, because he spilled his beer. So that's the kind of league you're watching tonight, guys.
beer drop. Yeah. Lead also drop.
Well, here we go. Flannery is just about to cross the finish line and take the win in Heat 1. There he goes, and he will now do the Prox customary post-race crash. It looks like he's wiggling the car around, trying to crash it, but not able to.
He's trying to, and then,
there's Greenberg.
There goes Greenberg, giving it the beans, and they cruising along as well. So. It's not looking good for Carter, I don't think. He's he's just crossing the line now.
Yeah.
Down in A, because he had another mistake in the exit coming onto 2. He hit the grass and just the back end just kept stepping out, and that was it for him.
Got to be kicking himself on that one. So I believe we're about to see the results, and here they are indeed. Thanks once again, Alex. Here is your winner of Heat 1, Ryan Flannery from Greenberg. So Flannery, I think, will extend his lead, but it's still not out of reach for Greenberg. If he has a great final heat, this is the last heat of the last evening of the last race of the series. So it's all down to Flannery and Greenberg, and we will have a reverse grid in this final race. So it's all to play for. It's all going to come down to this final race. What are your thoughts, Robert?
Greenberg needs to just lap like there's no tomorrow, and just hope that Flannery has a mistake. But
a lot of traffic to get through too.
It's it's a wing and a prayer, really. If Greenberg has a great start and gets through the traffic quickly, and Flannery gets held up, I can envisage that he'll have one or two places above Flannery. But we've seen it all the way from the start. Flannery he ain't no slouch, so it's
No.
it's an uphill battle for Greenberg at this point.
I think at this point I think Greenberg would need to win this final race with Flannery down in something like 4th or 5th in order for Greenberg to take, as we see, Carter's just hopping around the course here with no regard for track limits. Can't imagine.
I
That's
mean,
what
it's
these guys do.
7-5, so
Yeah. So it's still all to play for, but I think you would need some, as you say, would need some sort of unfortunate moment on Flannery's part.
I don't think Flannery is gonna want that, or even try and allow that to happen. He'll try his best, essentially, to just keep on trucking, as they say.
He's been pretty solid, the entire season long has Flannery, so I can't imagine him, suddenly turning into a madman on track. But pretty easy to get taken out by other drivers, as we see Chuma crashing his car. Especially in this reverse grid of Heat 2. Now, the reason that we implemented the rolling start is because the drivers were tired of smashing into one another at turn 1 when we did standing starts in these reversed grids. So it's going to be chaos. And, hopefully for Flannery, it's not chaos because he wants to win the series, I'm sure. But I would expect to see even more cars slamming into one another and hitting the wall.
I'd expect to see one or more big ones. Probably just one big one where, we had like the MX-5 is just being bullied by all of the skippies around it, and he's just trying its best to not. It's just essentially just. It's like having the what's it called? I'm just trying to even think of the analogy, but it's basically this the one person is just like, please don't, and then they just do a multi-kill around them, not through any fault of their own, but it just so happens.
Yeah.
And he starts second, so it is actually pretty good that he sits in second, because it'll give him the absolute best chance of pushing into the lead and sticking there and just trying to, run away, essentially. Because he knows it's not if, it's when Flannery catches up. Will Flannery catch up 10 minutes in, or will he catch up 20 minutes in? Because it depends. If he can catch up and get to the rear end of Carter within like the first 5 or 10 minutes, we'll both know that Carter really doesn't have any reprieve in terms of being able to try for a do or die, really. But if Flannery catches up within the last few minutes, Carter can really put in the lap of the gods and just try and push his way through.
Yeah, well, there we see Greenberg headed out on track. I can't imagine. One thing that has consistently caught these drivers out is that the tires are cold at the start of the Heat 2. And that has, drivers who are used to lapping at, your 137s at the end of Heat 1 forget that at the beginning of Heat 2, their tires are cold. So they go on full send mode, and it doesn't serve them well. Here is your starting order. Love it. Start in P1. Kundinger in P2. Disappointing performance for him in the first race, but reverse grid here in the second, and I would expect Carter to feature well at the end of this race. Tully in P3 with Warren for company on the second row, followed by Chukwuma Onobogu, and Fred hip check Hazelton. Nobody to hip check for Fred. He crashed himself between 2 and 3 in the last race. And Day and Greenberg and Flannery lining up and filling out the rear of the race. cars to keep your eyes on. Flannery and Greenberg, they are still both in contention for the series win. Flannery ahead on points, probably by about, I'd say 15-ish at this point. And Greenberg looking to pick up, if he can pick up those 15, 16 points in this race, which is certainly possible, he will not only win this second heat, but the season as well.
Just seeing Carter just playing dress up as the iRacing safety car. Imagining what it would be like. I mean, to be honest, the proportions are not that different. It's just that the safety car is probably going to be a lot faster.
Yeah, well, and you can buy how many MX-5s for the cost of one GT3 Cup car?
Oh, yeah. I mean,
several.
8?
Yeah, several.
I'd have wager 9. But it's going to be interesting because Lovett will be the one leading to the green flag, and he'll be the one that will dictate when they actually put gas to combustion and just get racing. And Flannery is starting stone dead last on his own row on the starting grid, so Greenberg has an advantage already, but he's already ahead on the track. So if Greenberg can cut through, let's say, the first 2 rows, let's say past Day and Hazelton, coming up into turn 1, then through the S's, and then, Chuma, doesn't prove to be an adversary coming into, let's say 6 and 7. I wager that Greenberg, if he does it right, will actually be about 2 cars ahead coming at the end of lap 1.
Wow, bold prediction. But you make a great point. What is going through your mind right now? If you're Flannery at the rear of this field, you know that you have pace on all of these drivers, but you only have probably about 16 or 17 laps to get ahead of everybody here. And Carter Cunningham is no slouch whatsoever, and he's going to start in P2 as we come down the hill through turn 3 onto the start-finish straight. Lovett already sliding his car, and that will lose him a little bit of time. So we're going to see a showdown, I think, between Lovett and Cunningham at turn 1. Lovett choosing to make it a pretty shallow turn-in, causing Cunningham to run pretty wide, and Warren is closing up the gap to our 2 leaders. Cunningham now taking over the lead from Lovett as they head into turn 3, and I think that will be the last we see of Carter Cunningham for a while. I'm going to go ahead and call it and say that I think this is going to not play into Flannery's hands. What are your thoughts?
No, he's not gotten up as far as he would hope. He's only gained 2 positions, and he's now behind Tulla, and there's now a gap of 1 car between himself, that is Flannery.
Oh, big slide there from Warren.
Oh, no!
Warren hits Greenberg. Greenberg off track between 6 and 7. Flannery able to close up the gap to what looks like Warren and Tulla there, and Flannery will probably be able to get a pass on all of those cars. Greenberg just got tapped by Warren there and sent off the track. Oh, no.
Greenberg having to... Well, he doesn't have that much... I don't think he has any damage, actually. He was very lucky in that respect. He doesn't have to go back into the pits to fix it. But it's now Flannery's time to shine. Flannery... No!
Flannery turns into Tulla and wrecks between 10A and B. So Flannery now off the track, struggling to get his car going at all. Look at all the damage on the side pod. I'm sure that Greenberg will be able to get back past him, or you would think so, but Cunningham puts in the fastest lap of the race then at 1:44 so far. Continuing to lead, he's got over 2 seconds gap now back to the 2 cars that you see there, Hazelton and Lovett. Hazelton has been able to get around Lovett during all of that chaos somehow. Lovett taking a big early turn in on 3, which does not appear to serve him well. So let's see what happens here. We are just looking at, there is Lovett, Warren, Hazelton, Greenberg, and Tulla behind. So Warren lost his car, just clipped the rear of Greenberg's car there. The left rear tire, it looked like, and just was enough to bounce his car into the air and send him off the track. So here we are looking at Tulla. Oh, this is our second crash here. Tulla, yeah. Flannery turned in for 10A, but Tulla was there. I think Tulla was trying some sort of a late braking type of situation and ended up crashing out. So here is Green. Here are your two series leaders, Flannery and Greenberg. Flannery all over Greenberg's gearbox. Do they look like they're running a little bit slow to you?
In which particular car? Or is it just...
Well, what's funny to me is it appears that I don't think that either one of them has a front wing, nor well, it looks like Greenberg has a nose cone, so he's got that up on Flannery's car.
Yeah,
we have seen Flannery we've seen Greenberg run in the fastest lap of the race with no front wing. We saw that at Laguna Seca, so we should be able to see him do the same thing here today.
And also, as well as which, Greenberg having to yield the position, did he have a slide coming into? He slowed down. He just slowed down coming into the final turn, letting Flannery by. But Flannery's actually carrying a little bit more damage over Greenberg. So Greenberg's, even though he's not got a front wing, he's got a nose cone and a very straight, very clean rear wing, whereas with Flannery he's actually got quite a good bit of damage to the rear left.
So now let me see if the race were to end right at this moment, Kundinger would get 25 points. Let me see. It wouldn't be quite enough because it might put him into P2, but I don't think he could. I'm not sure. It's tough. There's so many variables. I don't think we're going to have the official results until the stewards have a good look at everything that happened. But I don't know. Kundinger was 23 points out of first at the beginning of this race. However, that's not considering the 10-point penalties that Flannery and Greenberg took, so that they could drive the Skippies as opposed to the Legend and the Solstice. So very interesting. If the race ends up like this, Carter Kundinger might just tap dance his way into the series win.
Yeah, and Flannery has a gap of 7 seconds to Warren. How many places did he have to make up to take it back from Carter, this Flannery?
Well, Flannery was 11 points in the lead. He was 23 points ahead of Kundinger, but he took a 10-point penalty to drive in the Skippy car. So he was 13 points ahead of Kundinger after that penalty. But Flannery won the first race, which would give him 25 points. So he was, I think, 5 points ahead of... I don't know. I can't remember all the rules that we have.
We'll just allow the stewards and appease them by saying, we've got great racing.
Yeah. So now here we are, just on lap 4 at 6 minutes. So there's plenty of racing left to go. But if things were to finish the way they are, it could be pretty close. Here we see Day leading Levitt and Hazelton through 10A and B. They've got a pretty tight little pack there going along. Looks like everybody's still got their arrow, which is good. We're running on board with Hazelton here as we see Levitt bouncing over the inside curve. Looks like a little bit of a defensive move from Day there. Levitt decides to turn it into a very early turn-in and sort of an early apex and a big slide on the out of one. That has served him too well. Hazelton now all over him. Hazelton taking the requisite amount of curb there at 3 as they head down into the S's. Day is just, looks like he's scampering away a little bit. Just keeping an eye on the gap between Day and Kundinger. Kundinger with a 6-second gap over all of these Skippy cars, Robert.
and that's exactly where he needs to be. He needs to be ahead and by a good way, so that he has a buffer in case Flannery does make a last minute charge. Which he's 18 seconds behind. He's lapping slower than Carter is, so I'm not sure that's going to happen this time. But if any other new challengers, newcomers, if somebody has a few great laps, they could close the gap to Carter. So he's not to be complacent either. He needs to be laser focused, as was Flannery in the last race, on just putting in laps.
Well, here's the interesting data point. Carter Cunninger's best lap of this race was 1:37.95. Day's best lap of this race, a 1:37.94. So nothing but 100th between the two of them in terms of fastest lap so far. Amazing.
It's impressive that Cunninger was able to do it.
You know, it occurs to me, we could have just had Alex show those numbers on screen. Oh, well, here we ride along with Cunninger as he's driving up over what they call the tabletop, that big painted piece of concrete there on the track out of 5 is known as the tabletop. We do want to split it, just as we saw Carter do there. That is the sort of approved spec Miata line, exit of 5. But if there's any little bit of moisture on track and you try that maneuver, you will very soon find yourself shifting around inside the car as you slam into the wall. So don't do that in the wet, friends. But do come and drive over the line. So Cunninger's gap now down to about 5 seconds. It seems that Day is taking about a second per lap out of him. Day's last lap for Carter's last lap was 1:38.5, so that's nowhere near a second. That's more like a tenth, or 1500ths, something like that. So Cunninger really holding his own here. We're coming around to just about halftime through our feature race here. And there is another fastest lap by Day, 1:37.8. So there is going to be a reckoning for Cunninger within a lap or two, I should think.
Yeah, this is what I was sort of alluding to before. If a Skippy got very laser focused and just breaking down that gap, Day is making it look like he wants to have a crack at the whip and just try and push his little Skippy towards the exhaust pipe of Carter and see if he can rock the wagon wheels, as it were. It's very hard to say wagon wheels for some reason. But the point still stands that Carter is going to start looking into this in about a lap. He'll start looking very much so in about another lap. And I think in about 3 laps' time, with the current pace, Day will actually start having a few inklings of slipstream from the big chunky boy that is the MX-5.
The thick boy. There he heads down into 10A. Now, here's an interesting point that I've just recalled. Wow, big early turn in and slide from Cunninger there into 10A. Interesting. It's almost as though his tires are going off and he's trying to combat some understeer the way he really threw that car into that turn. As I recall, because of the way that our drop races work, I think that Greenberg needed to score more than 10 points tonight, although he did well in race 1, so that might not be necessary. But, you get to drop your 2 lowest scores. Cunninger really flinging that car around now. He's dipping wheels left and right. Just doing everything he can to hold on to that lead.
As is Day. I mean, Day's shucking his car around like a puck on an ice rink. And you can just see, even with Carter trying to push as hard as he can, he's 6/10 of a lap slower. So
there he is.
Yeah, and there he is. So Carter's now starting to look at his mirrors.
Yeah, it will be interesting now if Carter really positions his car well. I think he's got to be, I mean, he's doing this calculus himself in his own head, I'm sure, but just too many laps. If he just, if this were the final lap, I think he would be in good position. But unfortunately, we do have to run the entirety of the race in order to have a proper winner. So, drivers are between 7 and 10A is a good time to count on your fingers if you need them to do, as I certainly do. But Day now has that gap down to nearly 3 seconds. So I would think within a lap or two, I think Day is going to have time to really challenge him for the win of this race.
Just waiting to see in the lap times now. I'm looking at Day. He's like Jaws, He's getting closer and closer. Yeah, exactly. That music's playing him. He just took a second and a half. What? Was that a second? It was a second and a half. My eyes aren't deceiving me.
So smoke on the track there.
He just had a Cunninger just had a bit of a pop in and pop out,
Well, here we go. So just 2 seconds between them now. A little bit of dab of brakes for Carter as he turns into 5 in order to settle the front of the car. No other way to keep the car on the track. And you'll recall, as we just came over the hill, that's a great shot there from that camera that's right there at turn 6. Looking back down through 5, that little chute between 5 and 6, you can see Day just coming over the hill a little bit closer every time. And now, as you were just saying, I think Day is starting to get close enough that he can benefit from the slipstream behind the thick boy, which is not something that you would normally call an MX-5 Miata, but so it goes with our chosen race cars. I think Day is going to draw up very close on this lap, and the fireworks will begin shortly thereafter. You wonder what kind of mind games, Robert, are being played on the Discord right now, if we're getting any sort of trash talk to try to get into one another's head.
I would imagine Day just keeps, poking at Carter and saying, "Hey, look, I'm faster than you. Here I come. Here I come. Can't do anything about it, Carter. That's fine."
Oh, fast lap after fast lap from Day. Just a 1:37.4, yet again the fastest lap of the race there.
And a 1:39, so the Carter really has. He's not used that time well. He's not used the gap well, and he's now under a direct threat from Day. He's looking to see if he can upset the apple cart.
You wonder if flinging that car around has sent his tires off a little faster than they normally would have gone.
Yeah, it's also a problem that just adds to itself. If you continue to do it, the tires will get hotter and hotter, and they'll start to, have less grip just because they're not within their optimal operating window. Even with the kind of like an MX-5, you still need to take care of the tires. You're not going to have, reprieve until you get between 7 and 10A. And you just have to be mindful of it through the S's, especially coming out of 5. If you take a lot of slide there and coming up onto the rumble strips on the outside, it's going to affect your tires in a massive way. And I think we're seeing a little bit of that. It's no longer pointed than MX-5. It's quite loose in some corners, especially here. Like it was quite loose coming into 10B, and he's lost the lead.
Yeah, that was a pretty interesting series of turns there, especially between 7 and 10A. We saw, I think we saw just a greater top speed from the MX-5. It was able to draw away a little bit from Day's car, and now here they are battling back and forth for the lead of the race. Cunninger takes it back from Day, who slots in behind Cunninger to go around that turn 3. That crazy turn where you want to take a lot of curve and really bounce your car up in the air if you think your suspension can take it. Here we go down into the S's, and we will once again go around turn 7 with Day able to benefit from the slipstream. But I think it'll be interesting. We'll have to watch this once again, but it seemed to me that the MX-5 had just maybe a mile or 2 per hour greater top speed thanks to the arrow between 7 and 10A. We cannot have too many laps left to go. I can't think that there'd be more than sort of 1 or 2 left to go at 17 minutes and, lapping just over 130. Let's see if Day tries to make a pass. He swings out, pulls alongside, certainly going for it.
Yeah, and he's made it, but he's also under threat. Just a little bit of a nudge from the rear end from is there an anti Jaws, like an antithesis to Jaws? Water.
Too wide through 10A. Dave manages to hang on to his lead, but it looked like Carter got a little run on him there out of 10B. Let's see if he's able to make any hay out of it as they go down through turn 12. It looks like, we had a little wheel dip there from Day, caused him to bobble the car a little bit. So now Cunninger has taken over the lead once more, and it would not surprise me if this is our last lap at 18. Well, maybe not. We might get one more. But here we go up through 3 once again, just alongside one another. Cunninger giving Day plenty of room to race. Doesn't want to have any kind of issue on the last, in the last couple of laps of the season. That would certainly leave a bad taste in people's mouths, but doing everything he can. You don't
take as much track as possible coming through 5. And I think he's just trying to see where they sit.
Like that was Greenberg spinning around on the grass back there.
It was. Ooh.
Was that Flannery getting into Hazleton there? And then now Lovett's crashing and crashing. Everybody's crashing at 7. Oh, man.
I would expect the unexpected. It's now gone completely blindsiding. Or completely blindsided for me, because now Flannery has lost, more of his car. But B, most importantly, he's lost, I think.
No, big wreck at the lead. Carter is just gotten into Day there. I think he's going to be able to right his car before Day does. But that was just at turn 4 there. Carter dipped a wheel and hit Day's car. Now Chuma all over the rear of Cunninger's car. There is Chuma in second place somehow? Yes, he is. With Day all over the back of his car. So it looks like Chuma's set up well for a podium finish here after all the madness of this race. But Cunninger, this has got to be the last lap. We're now over 20 minutes. So if Day is going to want to do what he can to try to close that up and pass again for the lead, but I just don't think he's going to be able to do it.
Oh, imagine if Chuma won this race.
Yeah, well, he came within just a hair's breadth of it had Carter not been able to get going, get underway as fast as he did. I wonder if Chuma will try a sort of a Hail Mary here. It doesn't look like he's quite close enough to do it. Doesn't mean he won't try. Cunninger covers him off a little bit there down into 10A. Chuma has a little look anyway. Plenty of racing room there as they come through 10B for the final time. It looked like Cunninger let it breathe a little bit there. Maybe just letting Day, maybe he felt responsible there and just decided to let Day have it. But there is your finish, and of course it turns into a big wreck at the end, as it often does in this series. As soon as they cross the finish line, the wrecks begin. Well, they continue, as really more true to say. There is Lovett finishing P5 and Flannery in 6th. Warren 7th. Greenberg now just finishing in 8th. I think that points-wise, Flannery is still going to win the series. But I think as of tonight's performance, I think Cunninger has put himself into P2 over Flannery. I believe.
Yeah, I imagine he'd be actually pretty pleased with that, to be fair. He's a newcomer to the series, and it's a newcomer to, the group that races these normally. So I think he'd be pretty proud with the second place overall.
There's Chuma running into Lovett. Cunninger hitting Day's car. Everybody's crashing. Well, do hang on with us. Check us out at fprox.net. You can see all the final sort of rundown with the series The final official series standings, we'll get those out tomorrow. There are your winners from this madness of a second heat. Day from Kundinger, from Onabogu on the podium once more. Well done, Chuma. From Hazleton, Lovett, Flannery, Warren, Greenberg, and Tulla. So thank you guys so much for joining us for this season. This has been so much fun. This is our championship race, the end of this fall season. But do stay with us. Check us out at fprox.net and see what happens after the first of the year. We may very well do another one of these. This was a lot of fun. I think, we might have some changes to the lineup. So check us out. Find out what we're doing. Thank you so much again to our title sponsor, Jaysville Track Days. We really appreciate you guys giving us the ability to do this. Thank you so much to the Apex Racing crew. Everybody's been so great to us. If you're thinking of putting on a series, do call those guys. They make it super easy for you. I am Jim Hodgson. Robert O'Brien, thank you so much once again for being with us. I really appreciate it. And,
it's been my pleasure.
Yeah. Well, that's the season. So thanks, guys, and we'll see you sometime soon.